Like, are you a runner? Crashing. No, I'm not a runner. Oh my God! Somebody save him! This man is dying.
No, I just sat down, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Heart rate jumped. Oh, it's 48. Oh, it's way up there. I used to wake up at 32.
What?
32 and 34. Yeah.
That's how my sleep is.
Yeah. When I first wake up, roll out of bed, because Eddie B says that's when you check your resting heart
rate.
rate.
And then you measure the distance between
I'd move
the two.
my hand real slow, grab my watch, check my heartbeat, and it was consistently 132 to 134.
I joke that the reason I sleep so hard is because I'm practically dead because my heart rate's so low. Good thing it's not.
Yeah.
Can you see yourself in the mirror?
Well, if I told you, I'd have to bite your neck.
Yeah.
Sorry, I gotta adjust.
I got a little shiver.
I have Jackson's camera set to be here when Jack is here, and it's like this gigantic wide shot, so we don't need all that. Paul's is, you look like you're, leading into a camera angle. It's like Paul and then all this empty cardboard, not cardboard.
It's your artistic take.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. It's the rule of thirds. This is what we in the film industry talk about, we in the film industry. Now that I'm thoroughly depressed. Hey, everybody. Before we begin, it's time to say some thanks and some welcomes. What? Welcomes? Yeah, Gooder Sunglasses, people. They are back for 2022. You know what you want, you know what you like, and you know what you can afford. Well, Gooder has you covered. Protect those peepers with fully polarized, lightweight, stylish sunglasses, even the indoor cycling gamer glasses to help you with the winds from your multitude of cooling fans. Get to Gooder.com today and grab a pair starting at just 35 bones. Next one, new sponsor alert. Bing, bing. Oh, hey, I have sound effect. Pat, did you know that you had sound effects? Yeah, you do. The 24 Hours of Riverside brings back the grand tradition of the celebration of the mountain bike to Spokane's Riverside State Park on Memorial Weekend, May 28th and 29th. Get your ass over to 24hoursofriverside.com. That's 24hoursofriverside.com today and get registered solo or with up to 10 friends or enemies, I guess, if you're into that sort of thing. You want to do it. Put this event on your calendar for 2022. Big thanks to them. Wahoo Fitness, people. Wahoo. There's going to be some in-depth talk about training data on this episode, and Wahoo is the forefront of this data. Data.
Tomato.
It really? Is it?
I think so.
I don't know.
One of them's a Star Trek character. Get all the info you need, along with the motivation and opportunities to keep things going over the winter months. Wahoo has it all. Get to Packfiller.com. Click on the link to get started on your journey to becoming a Wahoo-ligan. Finally, athletic brewing, people. Did you know there was such a thing as dry January? I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
So you do now. And if you're considering this challenge, let Athletic Brewing help you baby step your way there. Great varieties and flavors of truly craft non-alcoholic beverages. Use the link at packfiller.com, please. Oh, let's do this. Last time for 2021. I didn't say that before I hit the sound effect.
Crazy.
I resolved to be more professional in 2020. Fuck, I'm not going to.
Yeah, starting off wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Like every resolution, you hope to keep it and then immediately gone.
Then January 3rd comes and back on the crack pipe. All right, the studio is a mess. If you can see us on YouTube, you can see that the studio is a mess. And, well, what are you going to do about it? But it's a mess heading in the proper direction. Oh, and it's a bit chilly. The space heaters are doing their job, so you might hear a bit of a whirring in the background, everybody. Either that or we will go full Wim Hof on the show, and I'm not sure we're ready for that just yet. Welcome to Life on Two Wheels. Welcome to the Packfiller. I'm your host, Patrick Bulger. We are live on YouTube, the Facebooks, and Vimeo. Is it Vimeo or Vimeo? Again?
I've never been on the platform.
What? That's if the kids aren't on it. It's a dead art form, right? But it is going to the YouTubes.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. With me are the members of the Packfiller. Let's see who's here. The question for tonight's show, how about this? It comes from GP Indicator 98.
All right, GP.
GP Indicator 98. I'd love to know what that means, but I don't know. It's not a bot because the person obviously had something that is related to the show. So your question when I introduce you is, what is your favorite piece of equipment other than your bike? Like what you rank in terms of importance other than your bike itself?
got there.
There it is. Computer down a little bit. I don't know why I always think the theme's a little hot, but then I listened back to the show and it was fine. But it's my sensitive ears. He's our in-house bearer of the traditional torch. He's the master of melancholy. He's the one and only Paul Main. How are you, man?
Doing all right.
Good.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Favorite equipment, if you had to pick it? I think I had
It has to be cycling related, I'm sure.
It does. Yes. It's
a good pair of riding shorts. That is number one. That's a contact that you don't want to skimp on.
And I've seen you blow through riding shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, a certain
like
brand.
Brand new ones. Yeah.
I have no problems with Ossos and Panache, and I have a pair of Giordano's that are 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
That I use on the train. They're thinning, but I not where the Castellis wore out.
You ever ridden behind somebody whose shorts are thinning and you can see the crack of their ass moving side to side?
I just can't wait until they get home. God, my ass is like sunburned.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Yeah. It's not a pleasant thing to see.
No.
Because, if the shorts are worn out enough, you can make out the fact that they've got a hairy ass, too. And it's not a pleasant sight.
Yeah.
It's not a pleasant sight. There's your visual for the day,
Yeah.
everybody. Second of all, he's got more than youth on his side. Youth on his side. He's got leg speed and a hell of a resting heart rate, we just found out. Mr. Jackson Bulger, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Am I allowed to have a split mind between two?
I did that too, so I technically cheated. Paul, if you want to add a second, you can add a second. No, he's good. He's sticking with the rules.
Oh, then I'll take the two. I think I will choose a pair of shoes because there's nothing like a good pair of well-fitting shoes to make your riding experience way better. And also a helmet.
Helmet.
Yep.
You've always been kind of important about a helmet looks. Is fit and ventilation a part of that, or is it just looks?
Yeah, I got a big old head.
Yeah.
So I got to get a helmet that fits me well, but also gives me the amount of coverage that I need, because how many heads do we get? Not that many. Oh. You only get one. So might as well take care of it.
There's a sex joke in there, but I'm not going to make it. I'm going to stay professional.
Because it came from your son.
Yeah, I don't want to exactly expand on that one. Me, I'm just here to push buttons. I'm Pat Bulger. My favorite piece of equipment, I don't have to split it now because you took one of them, footwear. I've always believed that don't skimp on your contact point, be it work shoes, be it walk around shoes, be it anything like that. If you got shitty, your shoes are shitty, your legs are going to feel bad, your knees are going to feel bad, your back's going to feel bad, and everything's just going to go to hell in a handbasket. I work on concrete floors all day, and so I've never skimped on work shoes just because I don't want to feel like crap at the end of the day. So I basically said I was going to skip shoes, and then I talked about shoes. But I'm gonna say my original other one is
important.
Yeah.
Is eyewear. My father always said, never ever. He never said, he's still alive, but he never let me leave the house on my bike without a pair of glasses on, either clear lens or dark lens or whatever it was. And it was always, and it's funny, Jackson, that you mentioned helmets, because I always remember telling your mom that I will buy you the coolest helmet in the world as long as you promise to wear it. And it was like, if you thought it looked cool, you'd be more apt to put it on your head. The same thing with glasses. I don't know how many times I've had a bug or a rock bounce off my lenses of my glasses. And it's always just been like, holy shit, thank God I had those on. Yeah. Although when it rains or it's snowy or shitty, or now that my eyes are going bad and I don't have prescription, I'm not buying prescription sunglasses. I'm not going to do it because I just don't like it. And my contacts work. And so I just, kind of stick with that. I'm a baby taking them out. I'm terrible at taking out contact lenses.
I never even thought about shoes because I've always had really good shoes.
Yeah.
My first pair were lace-up Vittorias. Then I went to Maurice's. Yeah. And then CD's.
Have you been CD ever since?
Yeah.
I started with Dweegees, white Dweegees.
Oh, yeah. Nail on? Yeah. You nailed on?
No, they were nail. They were. I think they were bolt on. Yeah. Wow. My dad bought them because Rebecca Twigg had them in the Sports Illustrated article. and I, who didn't have that picture of Rebecca Twigg up on their walls when they were juniors? But I remember when I showed up to my first club ride, I got some shit from the team. It's like, fuck, man, who's the punk new guy with the white Dweegees? I think back then they were like $180.
Yeah.
Which is expensive for a pair of cycling shoes. But they were cool. Wish I could find them. Wish I could find a pair. I'd wear them. Just, and
To kick around.
yeah, yeah. Wear them around the house. Clip, 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 clip.
Slip. Whoa! Down the stairs.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, how was the holiday? Did you? First of all, I gotta ask if anybody's writing. How did that go? And how'd the holiday go? And any great Christmas gift revelations that came out of the holidays itself? Anybody want to jump into that one? We are a couple days after Christmas here.
Yeah. Yeah. Writing wise, I'm getting back into it. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say there. It's not
How
that
many
exciting.
times?
I rode yesterday, but then I rode, I think, the day before Christmas Eve. So,
Okay.
yeah, just took the holiday period and then
Yeah.
got back on it.
You mean it this time, right? I'm going to start, and I mean it this time.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I don't have anything else to do, so.
Yeah.
But holiday wise, you, Dad, luckily got me a pair of the same pedals you have, the power pedals.
Yeah.
So now I've got a power meter, which I am super excited about. I was telling you that it's like, power meters are cool. I never think I'd have one, but here we are. So I'm pretty excited to see those numbers. Yep.
Is that what encouraged you to get back on the bike? You put
No.
the pedals on?
Have you put the pedals on yet?
No, because that's going to go on my BMC.
Ah.
Yeah.
He doesn't ride the trainer on his BMC.
Mhm.
I use the
old
ever
Trek.
reliable Trek.
Mhm.
Because of through axle and because of fear of damaging your bike, right?
Yeah, and I don't know how.
It's got a nasty scratch on it too already.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Some fucker hit it with a measuring, cutting guide or whatever it was.
Yeah.
God, I could still see it in my nightmares.
Well, and I also think about, like, how's the gearing going to adapt to, like, how's electronic gearing going to adapt to a different cog set? Do I have to index it? Do I have
shit.
to do all that stuff? So I'm like, it's not worth it. I have the Trek. It's a great bike, and it's not carbon, so it can be bashed around a little bit on a trainer. So
Yeah,
that's the thought process.
good thought. Good thought. Paulie, how was the holidays and everything like that?
Pretty good. Went over to my grandkids,
No.
grandsons, watched them open presents. My daughter filled me to the gills. I didn't ride. Those are the 2 days I didn't ride, but outside of that, I've been staying on task.
Oh fuck!
Yeah.
Really?
So, yep.
So
It's not
Holy
much.
shit.
It's just whatever the Wahoo's training
Yeah.
schedule, but I'll step it up come January 1st. So there's just something to. It's kind of nice about having that already figured out. I'm like, what do I want to ride? When I did Zwift, I think I just did intervals. I won't do it again. I'll just tool around. Well, you don't,
No. Yeah.
and that's counterproductive. So
You end up going, chase that fucker, or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, yeah. See,
Iceland.
Yeah.
I've never seen from. I'm gonna see what Iceland's all about.
yeah. Chase that guy. That guy's
Chase him
obviously
after.
way doper. I'm
Yeah.
going after him. Stuff like that. That scares me that you're now going to step it up, and I think you've been training more than any of us. Me,
Not hard.
I rode 3 times this week. I did start a new plan on system just to kind of get things going, and like you say, it's to look on it every day and go, okay, this is what I got to do. I don't. Is it the most beneficial workout? Who knows? But it's a workout. I mean, I'm getting something in, and I look at that schedule and I feel guilty if I didn't do it, and so it's a good motivator. And I did just one of the not weights because there aren't any weights, strengthening systems, and 12 minutes, and I was sore for 3 days.
Yeah.
It's like it's all body weight stuff. I did the one water bottle in your hand kind of a thing like that.
The
But
balancing.
it's good shit. It's really good shit. I mean, I'm a believer. So 3 rides plus a couple of those in. Holidays, I did bulk of the cooking and hid in the kitchen like I told everybody on the show I was going to do, and I did pretty good at that. I have joined the ranks of an air fryer owner now. So I mean, that was the one thing I was holding off and saying I didn't do during the pandemic. I did not do sourdough bread, and I didn't buy an air fryer, and now I have an air fryer, and I made tater tots in it last night, and they fucking rocked.
Way better.
Crispy, everything, man. It's so good.
Can I have your tots?
Napoleon, give me some of your tots. I have new boots, not cycling related, but we have to order new ones because my wife apparently thought I had baby feet, and I was so excited, and they were the color I wanted, and I put them on, and they hurt like hell.
Which is funny because you and I have the exact same size of shoe.
Yeah.
I I got the right size.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
I don't know why your mother, for some reason, just kind of went, oh, he's got a smaller foot. It's like, no, if anything, I have a bigger foot. Yeah. I've always had a slightly bigger foot than yours. So,
maybe she just thinks more highly or grand.
Fuck
more
yeah.
grand. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, she likes Jackson far more than me. I mean, that's a given. I have some fun shirts. I have some decor stuff for the studio, so I'm ready to go, man. It was a good holiday. Nothing really cycling came across the gift bags. I don't think for me. Yeah, and that was okay. As I said, I'm now at that snobbish phase where I'm between, where it's like the cheap stuff is almost too expensive for family members to get you, and the expensive stuff is ridiculous for family members to get you. And they don't, I like my mother-in-law is going to buy me some tubes. She doesn't know the difference between press to straight or,
Yeah, you'd get a 26-inch tube.
I get a tire for a kid's bike. I get a tire and not a tube or something like that, so it's, but so there we go. Hey, moving on, before I get to the news, I want to drop a tease of sorts. Stay tuned to packfiller.com as well as our new partner site, veloupdate.com. Sure, there's nothing there really right now, but it's about to get interesting. That's right, our foray into visual media continues. Several have asked what happened to coffee in comments. Well, now you know. It's headed to a more specific cycling and focused brand name. Yeah, who would have thought? Coffee in comments. Really, cyclists couldn't find it by searching on cycling content. Who's the dumb motherfucker who names these shows? Oh yeah, let's get to the news though, shall we?
You didn't answer that.
Nah.
What was it, rhetorical?
Yeah. It's not like Packfiller really is a great cycling-based name either. So thank you for finding us. How did you do it? Panda Watch.
Just waiting for it.
Can't not.
Here comes the drop.
Yeah. So here we go, you guys. Say it ain't so, Matty. Matthew Vanderpohl has been forced off the bike for an unspecified length of time after his back injury from earlier this season flared up during the super prestige round of the Hosen-Zolder on Monday. Alpecin Phoenix announced. Jackson, you and I were watching this last night.
We were.
And we're going, what's going on? Vanderpohl finished a strong second to Wout van Aert in his debut at Dendermonde on Sunday, but after a fast start in Zolder, he quickly faded from the leading group and dropped out of the race after 45 minutes. So Alpecin Phoenix said that after medical examination showed a swelling on the intervertebral disc and said it's unclear when he can resume training and racing. He will not be at the start of the Azencross in Loenhout on Thursday and will also miss the UCI Cyclocross World Cup in Holst on January 2nd. Shit. Did everybody see it? I know Jackson and I saw the race. Paul, did you see the race?
Yeah, I watched it live, yeah. I watched both of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Thoughts on when it seemed pretty darn obvious that something was up?
Well, I was surprised on Sunday's race. That one, he took off like a rocket because he started way back. Mm-hmm. And he started fading, and I thought, first of all, I'm thinking, well, here we go. It's going to be the same old thing. But then Wout just kind of served him up. I mean, there was a massive distance, and I thought, well, he's just came from camp or something like that. He's a little exhausted. And then same at Zolder when I watched him on Monday, and he just kept fading farther and farther back, and they kind of assumed that he got in a crash because he was like all of a sudden nowhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I thought then they said, no, he didn't crash. And I thought, I bet you it's a bike. I'm back, and that's what I was thinking in my head. It had to be a physical pain thing, and sure enough, then this news story comes out.
Yeah.
And how did he do that?
Disc
how did
brakes.
he hurt his back?
I don't even remember.
That was a big mountain bike.
Yeah, shit! That
race.
was off that.
Yeah.
That was off of that. Okay.
Mountain bike.
Mountain bike. I believe there's.
It's evil. It's so wrong. It just destroys people.
Jackson, you left before last night. You and I were watching it pretty late at night, and you left before we finished watching it, and neither of us had really kind of figured out what was going on with him. But was there a?
Yeah, it really seemed like, and I said this last night. I said, "Wow, he's really dropping back. It must be a mechanical issue."
Yeah.
Just because I've never seen Vanderpohl in any race whatsoever fade like that. It was super. It was crazy to watch, especially with Pidcock and Iserbyt and Van Tornout being all like up at the front in that second group, it was like, where is he? I thought he would have been in contact with that group, which he was for a while, and then he just popped just out of nowhere. Yeah, it's interesting, and it also to me like raises the question of, is this going to be a year where Vanderpohl doesn't like it isn't on the cross form we usually see, and is this going to be Wout's year when it comes to Worlds, or is it going to be Pidcock's year when it comes to Worlds? Because it's starting to seem like every race that Wout starts, he's unbeatable, and because I think his biggest rival right now, if Vanderpohl is top gear right now, it would be him. But right now it seems like nobody's there to rival Wout, which makes the reason why I left early last night was just because like Wout's got 40 seconds.
Over. Yeah.
Like in a cross race, that's the race is done.
Yeah.
So it's surprising to see that we aren't getting the usual Matthew that we're always used to.
So here's going to lead my inevitable glass half empty type of a question, even though I'm technically, I guess, an optimist, but not when the microphones are on. Could this an indication of I don't know, the idea that the body can hold up only so much constant high-end pressure and achievement, and that it maybe not be wise for an athlete to go full bore year-round? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I don't... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's interesting, though, because we're seeing Pidcock doing the same thing that Vanderpohl did. But Pidcock raced he raced the mountain bike season, too. So he has more racing than Wout would, technically. And so it's interesting to see that, obviously, like, a crash happens, you know. But we are starting to see that people say this all the time with Messi, if he messes up, no pun intended. That he is actually human. We're starting to see the Vanderpohl is human. He can be hurt, and I think that we are starting to see the effects of what it is to race year round. I'm interested to see when it hits Wout, but I think we saw that last year at the Classics with Wout. He peaked too early, and that's what we saw the whole year long racing really taking a toll on him.
Yeah, I think with Wout, they were kind of skeptical whether he's going to go for Worlds, based on his performance and stuff. Mm-hmm. His focus is more on the road, but I think he can do it in his sleep now. I mean, he's beaten people over a minute. I mean, the second place is Iserbit and Pidcock. They're the only two that are even close. And now Toonarts, those three actually are the ones that are anything. But as in him burning out, I think this is just a major injury. I think from that crash at the Olympics. Thank you. That was harder than anybody thought. It took a while for him to get back in, and I'm trying to think of right offhand how well he did after the Olympics. He did all right, but it wasn't like what we're used to.
We've become accustomed to. Yeah.
And so back injuries on a bike is nasty, and this has been now at least 6-7 months since maybe 6 months since the Olympics. No, because it was in September, wasn't it? Was the Olympics in September, or was it?
It was like late August.
Late August.
Yeah.
So on his back, if it's he just two cross races in his back's inflamed. That's not a good thing.
Well, it's also interesting to see that. I wonder if Paris-Roubaix had exacerbated any sort of injury with all that bouncing.
Oh man.
I wonder if there was something there too, because he did pretty well at that race.
Yeah.
So it's
he didn't finish like we'd think. I mean, how many people thought it was going to end like it did?
No.
Everybody, if you had to bet your money at the Carrefour de l'Arbre, you would have said, he's got this.
Odds were with him.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
he got third.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a lot of work, but he's always done a lot of work.
Yeah.
But so I'm wondering and he was a beaten man at the end of that.
Yeah.
So
we've got what seems like, and I'm going to touch base on this even with the next news story, is the birth of the immortals here. We've been seeing this young generation coming in that are just fucking dominant and amazing and year round. And I mean, are we maybe approaching that glass ceiling where we're going to get to that point where these guys just can't do this? it's gonna have a toll on him. Mentally, what it's gonna have on him eventually when they get to a certain level. So there we go. Second story, Ala and the Blaireaux have a sit down. Julien Alaphilippe has been voted as L'Équipe's champion of champions for the third year in succession after he retained his rainbow jersey in spectacular fashion at the World Championships. To mark the award, the Quick-Step Alpha Vinyl, got to get used to saying that, Quick-Step Alpha Vinyl, writer participated in a joint interview for the newspapers with Bernard Hinault, and the discussion inevitably turned to the Tour de France, where Alaphilippe placed 5th overall in 2019 after wearing the yellow jersey for 2 weeks. Hinault suggested that Alaphilippe would have to be certain of his form before targeting the Tour, as it would be a, quote, big risk, end quote. And the world champion agreed with that assessment. And Alaphilippe was quoted as saying, "That's a perfect summary. And the problem is that you can never be sure of your shot. Why risk putting a season on hold for just one goal? All I have to do is get sick or crash after 2 days of racing and everything is gone. You can't plan anything on the Tour." Hinault, the last Frenchman to win the Tour in 1985, that's a pretty big dry spell, everybody, has not always been generous in his appraisal of the generations who followed him, but has had words of encouragement for Alaphilippe and his aggressive racing style. I'm sorry, this is a long lead up to my questions, but there's a lot that went on in this interview, and Hinault was quoted as saying, "Of course, we are similar. In the modern peloton, you are one of those rare riders who have the drive, who don't think and go for it at the slightest opening." Hinault told Alaphilippe, "You, Mathieu Vanderpohl, Remco Evenepoel, you're bringing about such a change. For a long time, the big teams ruled and the others weren't allowed to move. You guys decided to change that, and it is great to see." Alaphilippe rounded out the interview talking about the summary of the sport that we all love and ways in which you compete at this higher level. He said, "There's a very big mental part that's undeniable. You have to like to suffer to win races, and you have to be able to dig deep into the pain to do these things. You have to be a masochist to ride a bike. It's such a difficult sport." To sum all that up, there was a lot that went on in what that conversation was about. Can we all agree that the sport is going through a change of drastic proportions, just like it did in the growth of dominating teams, such as the beginning of La Vie Claire, all the way up through U.S. Postal Service and Sky, where that really changed the formation of the sport? These super teams coming on board and kind of controlling everything in a lot of ways. And it now seems like it's turning to a style that favors aggression and attacking. Is that an agreement, or are we any kind of... How about good points and bad points about this shift, about where the sport's going with this concept?
I think it's great because from a spectator's perspective, it makes it a lot more entertaining, and it could draw a lot more spectators. And I also think that it creates there's no more hierarchy in a peloton where anybody can win now, which I think is a lot better for both the riders, but also for the like I said, for the spectators as well. I feel like we're seeing a lot of crashes though, and I don't know if that's just as of recent. There's always been crashes in the sport, but I feel like we're starting to see a good amount of them, especially with the aggression and the constant need to win. And it's super interesting because I feel like COVID kind of brought this about, because a lot of these riders had to go into a race with the mindset of maybe this could be our last race of the year.
Yeah.
So whatever race
paychecks are on the line.
Yeah. And so you got to show your sponsors, you got to show your face, you got to do all that just to get money, So I think that could be a negative part of it, that every single person wants to be a headline. But like I said, it creates entertaining for both the riders, I hope, and the people watching.
Yeah, I think it is definitely. I mean, I started watching cycling in the early 80s, and it's, like you said, the power teams have changed, and there was always an El Patron, the one that controlled. And Duclos Sassal was notorious for that. I mean, somebody attacked and they didn't, or even Bernard Hinault would there's a famous story about, was it Roy Nickman or somebody at the Coors Classic down in Colorado back in the 80s, made an attack. And he rode up to him, this Bernard Hinault, and screamed at him in French. And it's like, I don't care. This is my race. And he did it again.
Shit.
And then he just pretty much like tried to push him off. You don't get to go until I say you go. And you hear stories about Eddie Merckx, same thing.
Lance did it too.
Lance did the same thing. But I think there is as so many, now we have such a melting pot of young talents are going in there. And we hear from, anywhere from Philippe Gilbert, several other older riders that are saying, the respect for older riders, guys are diving in corners when they, taking risks to move up when they're not supposed to. The older riders are conflicting with that. And I agree. I mean, I've watched a lot of bike races and crashes. I think there's always been crashes, but the massive pileups are huge. And I think that's aggressive riding. I also think that disc brakes. No, I'm just kidding. That was part of when disc brakes came in. They said there's going to be less crashes because people could stop. And I poo-pooed that because I'm thinking when you're at 30
momentum
plus miles, it doesn't matter. It's not like
it doesn't.
The lockup is a lockup.
Angel's wings don't come in front of you and cushion your deceleration.
Yeah, it may improve descending down a hill, especially in the wet, but in a group, it's when somebody goes down in front of you, reaction time, whatever, and their speed is way higher now, and that's been proven too. So, it's kind of interesting. It does, like Jackson, to reiterate what he said, it is more fun. You don't know, and the fear of Sky going and taking their train and it's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah,
that's all been busted up, and it's not just one team that does it. You look at UAE; they just did it with one person, basically.
Yeah.
So one superhuman.
Yeah, I mean, one could say that the now Alpha Vinyl Quick Step was the team that had that control over some of those smaller races, classics, and things like that. But they didn't win all the classics. So, I mean, that shows that that style has changed. How about the idea of developing into a Grand Tour rider for Alaphilippe? Good call, bad call. And my other thing is when this comes up, why when a rider is approached with where to take his or her career, there is always this pressure of a Grand Tour. Maybe it's because he's French and there hasn't been a Grand Tour rider since 1985. But Alaphilippe could retire today and have a Hall of Fame style of a list of palmares, but there's still this pressure upon him for a Grand Tour. Is this a good call for Alaphilippe to even discuss this, or should he stick to, in your opinion, what he does so incredibly well?
I don't know. It'd be tough for Alaphilippe to both change mindsets because I feel like he is that aggressive, flamboyant, like shot out of a cannon type of rider. It'd be a big change for him as well, from going to from classics, like those punchier stages, to going a Grand Tour. Like that's a reconstruction of your training plan entirely.
And your racing style altogether. You don't just go when your heart feels it.
Yeah.
And as in a Grand Tour.
Yeah.
You plan and calculate every single element. So
which I don't know. I mean I don't know Alaphilippe. I've never met the guy, but I wonder if that takes the heart out of racing for him, because when I watch him, I feel like his heart is in that explosive type of racing that is entertaining.
He's a showman.
Yeah. And I don't know if a Grand Tour is very much up his alley. I don't know. It's a big ask for Alaphilippe to recreate what he did in 2019 and then do more. That's a lot.
Yeah. So overall, not so much.
I see him more sticking with the classics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, your opinion?
Well, I think he does well on one day, obviously really well, and I think he gets a kick out of it. And I think that experience in 19 where he was in yellow for a while got a taste of it. But I think if he accomplishes what he wants on the one days, the classics and stuff, I don't see any problem. Why not give it a shot at a Grand Tour? I think his biological clock is winding down there.
Which is so funny because what is he? He's probably 30.
I think he's 29.
And I remember in a situation where when Greg LeMond, once he started faltering a little bit, he was a great classic rider.
Yeah.
And until George Hincapie got second at Paris-Roubaix, fourth place was the best in America. Yeah. So I always thought he should have turned to, doing classics and hitting the monuments. And somebody asked him that question, I think it was like in Cyclosport or something. He says, listen, I get paid to win the Tour de France, nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
And so then that's that pressure. And that is the granddaddy of all races, no matter how it usually is not the best race of the year typically, but it's the biggest stage. Yeah. So I would say, I mean, if you've accomplished everything else, you've two-time world champion. I mean, he did well until he crashed at Flanders.
Yeah.
I mean, he has that potential. I don't think he's done Roubaix, but Liège, and he's been there for Milan-San Remo. Why not?
Yeah.
The Grand Tour.
Mm-hmm. For those of you wondering, no, there's not something happening in your life that is causing dogs to bark. It's my mother-in-law's dog is here, and he is a elongated rat, and my dog is like, those people who see somebody throw up and they immediately throw up themselves. If a dog barks, my dog just goes ape shit. He's like, I don't know what we're barking at, but I'm gonna go louder than you, fucker. So. So that's the dog upstairs. My wife's not home to tell him to shut up. So, okay, there we go. This great opportunity right now to shift gears to our topic, which was a great suggestion by Paul. Tonight's topic is, by the way, brought to us by our friends at Ambassador Cycling. You got to get fit to be fit. And proper bike fit means miles of misery. There's no better way to ruin a good ride than to have pain that shouldn't be there. Get to ambassadorcycling.com today. Start a conversation and set up an appointment with the one and only Bike Fit Sam and get on your way to a comfortable 2022. Tonight's topic is numbers, data, information. It's kind of funny that after Paul, I think I hit the record button and took us live when you were still describing this concept. But when you suggested it, I came across an article. I mean, today it's like I'm almost positive that Amazon devices are listening in on everything I'm talking about in my life, because I immediately came across an article on road.cc about yearly mileage totals, about how we see a flood of those posts coming over our timelines this time of year. People posting massive numbers. My Whoop strap just sent me a video, kind of a year in summary of how many minutes I rode, how many, all my recoveries of the year, this total, grand tally. And at the bottom of it said share. You can send this to your friends. They can see that you rode 15,000 minutes on your bike and stuff like that. We have an instant access to data like we've never had before. Power, heart rate, sleep, recovery, blood oxygen, for fuck's sake. All this stuff that we have available. So I want to talk about the divide between enough information to fill a hard drive at one end, which is too much, and just going out and riding and knowing how you can go and get the feel and, almost in touch with yourself and the earth at the other. So we've got the nerd at one end and the old school hippie at the other end. So my question for you guys to start off is what information do you like and what do you rely upon? So I might like versus rely. And how do you use that information? In all of our stuff we have accessible to us, from the very first Avocet cycling computer, which had time, distance, and speed, and the clock didn't stop when you stopped your bike. It didn't do anything like that. It was just those three things on and an overall rolling odometer for the year. To now, where we have so much. So what do you guys, what bits of those information do you like, and what do you almost need? What ones do you really need?
From my perspective, I like all of it, whatever it's willing to give me.
Sure.
Yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, now I have a power meter. I'll make that the biggest number on my Wahoo screen,
Yeah.
But do I rely on any of it? No. I think I like to see it all. I like to see the miles, my heart rate, all that stuff. even the temperature I have on my Wahoo, which is kind of nice. But I don't really rely on it. Usually when we're doing our races or like the Thursday night stuff that we did, I would actually just zoom into time and miles and speed, just because I didn't really care about what my heart rate was doing because I'm racing. It's not like I'm really gonna like, oh no, reaching a heart rate, I'm gonna stop. But like I think it's really beneficial for me, at least for when I train, just so I can reach like if my heart rate's at 180 beats per minute, I know that I'm starting to reach that threshold when I'm training. But like in a race scenario, if I'm at 180 pushing 190, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going until I can't anymore. So I like it all, but I don't rely on any of it.
Paul, you're the opposite end, and it's perfect that I have you guys both in on this discussion because you have a computer, but you put it in your pocket.
Yeah. Well, 2 reasons. The first one is that I'm so old I can't read it anyway. But the other one is it happened. I used to have Avocet 20 when they first came out, then the 30 and the 35. And,
when they came out in colors, that changed the fucking
and the
game.
smaller, and not this big black thing.
I've got one on the Peugeot and the yellow one.
Yellow one, sweet. Yeah. But I got in a big crash in the state district championships or state championship, whatever they were called back then. But and in this massive pileup, I lost my Avocet, and being a poor bike rider was halfway through the season. I couldn't afford another one, and it never did affect. I'm thinking, wait a minute. I kept thinking I got to have that. Well, I was racing. The only time I looked at it is when I was panicking, like, oh, I'm not feeling so good. How much further?
Oh, really?
It was negative for me to get that information, and if I didn't have that information, I just pressed on. If not, it's like it was easier. I could feel in my mind personally. This is just the way my mind works. I was starting to shut down. It's like I can't. This is a 1 hour crit and 15 minutes, and I'm anaerobic. I feel like I can't push the pedals. Well, it doesn't matter. You got to finish. Yeah. And so once in fact, it was a lot easier for me not to get that data. So I do have it now. And the weird thing is like I was talking earlier, I never had a heart rate. Everybody was there for a while when heart rate monitors came out. They're like $200. Remember Pulsar?
They were Polar.
Yeah. And it's like, why would you do? I mean, what does it matter in a race with your heart rate? I mean, that's my focus is racing. But I mean, all that information is good for training and even power if you're going to train with power. But I think unless you're structural, like, okay, I need to do. I mean, your power you can always increase too, but to me, it's time and effort which really matters, and that's all I need for information. If I motor pace, it's one minute out in front of the bike, get back behind the bike, back and forth, and doing these intervals. So on training rides too, like you were mentioning, Jackson, it's like whatever your heart rate is or whatever power you're putting out, if you're in a bike race or even on the TNT, it doesn't matter. If you want to be in that front group, you're going to have to do whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's fun to have that information. In my opinion, afterwards is like, well, crap, I had my best 5-minute, power output.
Yeah.
And then I think on road situations, we have a tendency, it'd be fun to match that. That's the only time it'd be good to have the data, is what you really do in reality as to when I'm on a trainer, like my 4DP and my full frontal, I know I'm not pushing myself as hard as I am on the road.
Yeah.
It's because why? Why do I have to? It's just a stupid computer.
See, I have always, ever since my first Avocet, I have always relied on at least time and speed. Mm-hmm. I have always been desperate about those. I'm the kind of guy who's always needing to. The more information I can get, the better. I've always been that way. When I was on the rowing team in college, there was this this rule in the boat that you're not supposed to look around. You're supposed to keep your eyes forward. You're supposed to be focused, and things like that. And I could never do it. Every photo of us as a crew rowing, my head's looking at the other boats from side to side. And, our coxswain is yelling at us going, we've got 2 seats up on him. And I was the stroke, which is the person right in front of the coxswain. I was like, bullshit, we got 4 seats on him. Because I'm looking around. I need that information. In a 1 hour crit, I need to know how far we're going. I don't know why, but I think my brain would do the opposite of yours, Paul.
Yeah.
Mine would shut down if I didn't know how much was left, and things like that. So those are those things that I really do need. This also stems off into the our heart rate monitors, our recovery monitors, our wrist mounted straps that we wear and go to bed in. Paul, you have one in
Sleep
your mattress,
number,
Sleep Number bed. If you woke up on, actually, they're all great for training. Let's just say that. I mean, my power numbers, I don't know if I want to see my power numbers in a race, just like we were saying, because I don't want to look down and go, holy shit, I can't maintain 580 watts for more than a minute. Mm-hmm. But there goes the group up the road. I'd better not pay attention to that and go until I explode, or just say goodbye to the race. So I don't know. Yeah. If you woke up the morning of a big race, and Jackson, I know you have done this, and your recovery numbers were shit, would it affect your performance? Truly, would it affect or would it be a mental effect on your performance? And in that case, would you look at your recovery numbers the morning of a big race?
Well, I did at BWR, and I was pretty damn low, but I still did the thing,
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like I really like to know how well my body is rested and the effects and the things that affect how I recover. I gave my girlfriend my 3.0 when I got my new Whoop. It finally came, by the way, if everybody was curious.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. And we were talking about that. It's like, what is the point of all of these questions? And it's to tell like what is the best when you recover. I really like that information, but if I had like a state championship that day and I got like a 2% recovery, like in my mind, it's not, oh no, now I can't race. It's more of, now I need to gauge my effort. Now I need to know when I can really burn a match and when I need to just take it easy. That's what I really like about like the wrist or your monitors that you wear.
Those numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't dictate how you live, but it's in the back of your head like, okay, I might not be able to attack off the line. I might need to just like sit in and measure my efforts rather than attack. So that's what I think.
Paul, would it affect you? Would it bother you, or would you not even look?
Well, I've never had anything other than just in the last 6 months a Sleep Number bed.
Sure.
And of course, I'm looking at it all the time, and I'm thinking, well, I made a mistake there. See, at 11 o'clock. What did I do at 11 o'clock? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. The dog jumped on the bed. Yeah. So, it's one of those things I can't control. Therefore, this means nothing to me. I can't control how I sleep. I mean, whether there's things on my mind or whether it's too cold, never too hot, but always too cold.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And it doesn't affect me. But as Jackson's talking, and using that data for recovery as he was speaking, I won't attack at this point. Now that's something that through time, because I had never had that, I know my body. I've been in those situations, and even when I'm thinking the race is going up and this is a key moment, I don't want that. Well,
you're only at 22%.
Yeah. But maybe I'll wait. Maybe somebody else will chase it. I want to go by my feel and not by any numbers that dictate what I need to do, because I know at this point what needs to be done in a race at certain points of the race. My numbers are always what I focus on is the course itself, the hills, the selective parts of the course. That is the most important thing to me. But as we're talking, my dad, as I've mentioned before, was a fighter pilot, and in the 50s they used to try and get engineers. He was an engineer, but he flew what they call seat of your pants. Didn't use gauges. He felt the plane, and that's how he did it. And then they tried to get
some
these
sort
guys.
of a thought about an apple in a tree not falling far. Just that I'd like to throw out
I
there.
think so.
Yeah.
I told him a story too. I was telling him about where Dada was right before he died. It was a week before he died, because I was talking about my passion, which his was flying fighters and mine's racing bikes, and he says we're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
But he said back they were trying to really get engineers because planes started becoming more and more technical and computer. I mean, everybody knew the G-force, the maximum on this particular airplane. And my dad says, I could always tell by the reaction of the plane that the engineer guys, the numbers guys, had to use the numbers. I mean, that's how they functioned. And he says, sometimes numbers guys can beat seat of your pants. Sometimes seat of your pants beats the number guys.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It's getting to the finish to win. And so, everybody wants to do one size fits all. Everybody has to train by FTP. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
And it affects, well, like we discussed, getting numbers for you. If in a crit you need those information and a 1 hour crit, and I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've had it and it's foul for me.
Yeah.
For you,
yeah.
it works. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I keep forgetting. Somebody mentioned to me in an email that I rarely answer my own questions, and I probably should do that occasionally, but just occasionally. If I woke up the morning of a race, a big race, and the plan was for me to do something heroic on that day, and I saw that my numbers were bad, it would probably stick in my head. I would like to think that I would, blow it off and fight and be strong enough, but I'm sure that something in the back of my head would probably be that little demon on my shoulder. So I might be the type of a person who shouldn't look at that data in the morning and go by feel. Over this last week of Christmas, in case nobody knows, I indulged a little bit too much over a couple days on Christmas, and there were a couple nights in particular where I gained 3 pounds this week, but there were a couple days where I woke up in the morning thinking, actually, I feel pretty good. I don't feel bad at all. I bet I'm in the green, and I had a 26 or below in the red recovery. If I would have gone throughout my day not knowing that number was bad, would I have changed my behavior? And so in my head, me, Pat Bulger, knowing myself, it might affect my behavior, and it might affect how I race that day. So I don't know. I don't know if I should look on those days. But then when I do look and it's a fucking awesome green number, I feel invincible. There were some Thursday night rides where I went into them with really good recovery numbers, and I went, I'm going to fucking crush it today. And I felt great on those days. So,
how do you weigh how much of that is mental? Because you got the green light.
I guarantee it. Yeah. I guarantee it. It was, and it's a both. I mean, sure, my physical health is good right now at that moment. It's probably a 10 to 15% advantage over, Pat Bulger from yesterday as opposed to today. But I went in there thinking, I'm green, baby. Green to go. Let's do this, and I probably was more aggressive. I was more mentally able to handle the attacks because my head was in the right place.
See, I also would want to ask you, do you find that your cocky asshole is still around?
I find that my cocky asshole is rearing its head in certain situations.
So not every time you line up?
No.
Okay. Because that is also an interesting concept of this, is especially because like when I remember how you always used to tell me like during soccer, like you're the best player on the field when you walk on.
Yeah.
And then like I never had that confidence, but now I do. And so I would be interested to see like what that would make.
Absolutely.
If that mentality was always around, if the numbers even mattered anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. There were some days where I was in a group thinking to myself, I'm one of the strongest guys in this group. Mm-hmm. And I felt that, and I acted accordingly. Yeah. And I, blew up and got dropped. No, it's that also is killing the fast asshole is my self-deprecating humor too. So, but I tend to make jokes about myself too much, and I need to be nicer to myself. And then I'm going to go upstairs and beat my dog for barking too much. What would you do if you no longer had access to any of this data? I know Paul's answer, so I'll let him go. If you no longer had access to speed, distance, mileage, anything like that.
Yeah, it is what it is. It wouldn't affect me at all.
You just look at your watch and go, it's noon, I'll be home by 3 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty good at judging time.
Yeah?
Yeah, even without a watch or
without
anything.
looking at like bank clocks or something like that.
I'm usually within 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that's something that you can develop, and that's something that I bought a watch back in 2002, but I rarely look at it. But nevertheless, you kind of develop your own little clock. I set an alarm every morning, and I wake up like 2 minutes before.
Yeah.
No matter what time I go to bed.
Wow.
You know, I don't know. But I think for me, the information I don't like to, if I don't have, it's not so much my numbers or how I slept or, you know, the information during the race, is not knowing who's at the race, what, you know, what type of person is in the lead and the course and where the select. That stuff is way more vital to me.
And that's your geekdom area.
Yeah,
that's an interesting thing that I didn't think of mentioning is information might not be digital numbers.
Yeah.
It might be, you know, the topography and the mileage of every course we race. And I'm horrible at that. But that's your information.
And Scooter does both. He does both. He keeps track of it, all his watts.
He knows
and
who's
everything.
registered for
Absolutely,
races.
and I do the same thing.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yep.
He's
a little more involved in that part than I am, but yeah.
I just look, man, that guy's got baby oil on his legs. He must be serious. People do that anymore? I don't know if they do that anymore.
Yeah.
I think I just aged myself again. But okay, so you would now. How about if that data were gone? If you didn't know the course,
I would be lost.
Yeah, you would be lost.
I would be. Yeah, I'd be lost without a doubt.
Yeah.
Not knowing where the turns are, if there's a gravel section or if there's a hill coming up, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Okay. Jackson, how about if the data was gone? If you didn't have any of it?
Yeah, you know, I think it'd be fine. I like I was mentioning before, I like just to know my heart rate in training. But when it comes to the real day, I don't really care. And I've noticed that, like, with the race information as well, like the topography and the people registering, like, that doesn't bother me either, because this is like, I don't know what it is, but this is the first time that I've been like locked in on something where I can show up and have the mentality like we were talking about earlier, that when I line up, I'm the best one there.
Yeah.
Like, but that only comes out on a race day. Other than that, it's like that just, as you guys know, it's quiet me again.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know if I need the information, but I like to know it's there.
Okay.
Do you think your attitude changed after Belgian waffle ride?
I think.
Did that give you confidence that you can do this, or did you have it before?
I think I had it before. I gained it when we were doing like a lot of our group rides and our races here in town. That was like my mentality was like locked in. And then I think when we did BWR, what really came to me was that like you can have that attitude and something can still be really hard. But it also showed me that like, and a lot of people talk about this, like for instance, in a work week when things are like really like when they suck and I don't like, do I want to do this anymore? It's like you can do 131 miles in 114 degree heat. You can get through this work week. And so it really put a lot of things into perspective.
Yeah. That is a good way to look at it. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, okay. How about the apps, gentlemen? How important is Strava, Ride with GPS? The importance of the social media element of Strava? Posting how many miles you did this year, seeing how many other people posted this year, getting home at the end of a ride and seeing what you did, seeing what your friends did, and things like that. How important has that become to you? I mean, it doesn't have to be like changing, but it could be a motivational factor. The apps, Strava, Ride with GPS, these types of things. How have they benefited or cursed your cycling existence?
You know, it's funny because the more we talk about it, the more and more I realize that Paul and I are kind of similar in this. I don't care at all.
Yeah.
I use it for my own personal gain.
Yeah.
I like to know what I can do. But for instance, I follow Ted King, Ashton Lambie. I follow all of you guys on Strava, but I never really look at anybody else's rides.
Yeah.
I only look at my rides because I want to know what I can do.
Sure.
And like what I'm able to do. But like, for instance, like on Instagram, I post more on the Packfiller account than I do on my personal account. And so it's just an aspect of things that I don't really like pay attention to. It's all personal. It kind of sounds vain, but it is.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. You know, for me, it's when I got on it, it was, you know,
You
it was
had a
pretty
lot of KOMs for
which
a
is
long
fun.
time.
Yeah.
You know, that was a fun part. And then I just watched them go away, you know, as more and more people got on it. So, but the thing is I like if it encourages, there's a part of Strava that encourages people to ride and see what whoever, you know, it's kind of a unusual kind of social media because I think it does encourage some people. But I'm like Jackson. I never look at it unless I ride and I look at my information. Then I'm thinking while I'm on there, I get, you know, a couple of people, you know, give you a ride on it or whatever.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Kudos.
Yeah.
So then I feel like an ass because they're giving me one. So then I have to go
give
through
them back.
So I go through,
I do the
you know, that same day, maybe 2-3 days back.
Good job.
Yeah. And you know, I give them thumbs up, but I won't give anybody a thumbs up if it's indoor training or anything outside of road riding, and that is an asshole thing. It's just like no, I'm not into that. So I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm not going to give you a kudos. So you rode the edge. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, I don't.
Rode the edge.
Yeah.
Do you now, for example, I'll look on some days and I'll usually after a ride, if it's warm outside, I'll sit on my back deck, and I always call one of our outdoor piece of furniture my Strava chair, and because that's where I just sit down after a ride and I'll scroll through and look at my ride and stuff like that. In here, sometimes if it's colder weather, I sit on one of the chairs here and I'll just kind of look through it and kind of hang out. But if I did a 40-mile ride that day and I felt kind of proud of myself, and then I look on and a group of guys or whatever, girls and whatever, did a 100-miler or a 90-miler, and they're people that I ride with and against, that has an immediate effect on me. That does provide that social element, that competitive element does immediately flare up in me. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta do a 90-miler here soon. Because I can't let these fuckers get one up on me or something like that. I use them to compare my efforts. Definitely. I look at PRs more than I look at anything else. Because this last year, for example, I saw a lot more PRs on my own account than I ever have. That is a huge motivational factor for me. Every time I climb Jameson, I think about Jameson's one of these climbs here nearby that has become my little angry mountain. And it's one that I climb as many times as I possibly can a year. And every time I ride it, I try to do not a remarkable, but some sort of an effort up it. Some days I'm going faster than others. If there's a tailwind at the base of it, I take that opportunity to haul ass as best as I can. And I look for those PRs. Those are important to me. I don't know, and I agree. Now, how about if it isn't on Strava, it didn't happen? Do you guys, do we follow that? Do we think it's sure, we joke around and say that sometimes. It's like, oh, shit, like you forget to start your computer, Paul. It's like, oh, shit, got to start it. If it isn't on Strava, it didn't happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I use it, again, for my personal, data, that type of thing. And I do have to make a comment that I notice I'm more interested, but I don't go on it unless I ride. But since I've been on the show, I've had people follow me from around the country.
Yeah.
And I get on theirs and I look at their course, and I start looking at the, how many hills or the route, and I'll actually do the research. To me, that's interesting. But people around here, I know, and I know the course. It's not that interesting, But still, nevertheless, there's a guy, Winston, that always. I mean, that's one of his deals. He always makes a comment. Since I've met him, and he's always encouraging, and he's chasing all those challenges and stuff. And he says, are you doing any of those challenges? No, I don't do challenges. I do my thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jackson, do you need to post? Does it need to happen?
I like to show when I do like special things, like with the BWR, I would have been pretty bummed out. But I'm also now thinking about it in the fact that I don't know if it's the fact that I like to put it onto Strava. I just more like a record of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I like to be able to look back on it myself because I don't really care how many people saw that I did BWR, but I like to see that that whole experience was recorded through all of the very specific vitals that I needed throughout that day. I think that's more special to me, like creating the memory. It's almost like taking a picture. To me, the picture is more important than the data itself, and showing it off to other people, because I like to have that memory always there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think here's where the data really matters to me, especially on Strava, because this whole year I just kept saying I'm just getting older. That's all there is to it. And I've mentioned that Bike Fit Sam and I went out, and then I started looking at my yearly totals. And so far this year, only rode 73 times.
Yeah.
I used to get 73 rides in my heyday before, in March.
Yeah.
Easy. And
so it did help.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's the type of thing. I can't complain my age because I haven't really been riding.
Yeah.
But, you get caught up in life, and there's no goals for me because COVID with no racing is like, well, I can do it next week, or I can go for a ride, or I'll hang out with the wife and go drink beer or something. I don't know. But, yeah, I think it can be a good thing. Data can be a good thing.
Yeah. I think there is a fine line between the grumpy old nerd, grumpy old grouch on one end who's still on toe clips and, sticking his finger in the air to see which way the wind's blowing, to the total over the top, I'm going to say it, triathlete who's got his aero helmet on, even in the fucking coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
You've got this range of users and sports, and cyclists.
Mm-hmm.
You've got that range, and I think there is a fine line to walk, and there is a time when you can probably become too addicted to those numbers. We were in Belgian Waffle in Jackson. There was a guy. I looked at you and I said, I want to beat this fucker no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was talking so much about his power numbers. And this is in the first 20 miles of the Belgian Waffle ride. He says, I'm just going to keep it between blabbity blam and blabbity blam watts. And I was going, I'm just going to make sure that in 130 miles I am at least a wheel length ahead of you. That was my, like, fuck it, I'm going to beat you, asshole. I think I did. I don't know. I never did. Yeah, hope I did. Well, I did. Damn it.
You did.
Let's just say, Pat, you did it. But that he was so focused on those numbers and that they were going to rule his day. They were going to rule his ride. He was going to spend more time looking at his handlebar mounted computer than he was at
Chris Frooming.
Everything. Yeah. And I think that's one realm of it. I love that information. I needed my Wahoo during Belgian Waffle to tell me how far into that race I was.
Mm-hmm.
I had heat exhaustion, and I was thinking, okay, the next rest stop is at whatever, it's 20 more miles. Okay, I can do 20 more miles. And then I'd finish the 20 more miles and say, okay, I got water in me. I can do 40 more miles. And I would watch those miles tick off, and that was my steps to get to those things. So I needed those numbers. If I didn't know where I was, I don't think I would have made it.
See, it's interesting how mentality works, because when I was going along through it, I didn't want the miles. I didn't want to know how long I had left, because if I look down and I see, oh, you're 60 miles in, you still got 100 and some left.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy for me to think about that. So I wanted elevation. I want to know how much more do I really have to climb, and how steep are these pitches? Because we had to reach an 11,000 mark, and once I got to that point, I knew that it would be easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, that's funny. I don't want to know the hill coming up.
Yeah.
I just want to look at it and go, oh, okay, I hope that's it. And then when I get to the next top of that section and it's not it, I go, okay, I hope that one's it. And I just keep going. But in a race situation, that's not smart. To not know how long that climb is. I can't attack at the base of a climb when it's 8 miles long.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a stupid mentality. So yeah, I guess, there's like I said, there's this middle ground. There's a time when you want that information, be it what it may be it on your desk, on your handlebar mounted computer, or be it on your pre-race information going into it.
Mm-hmm.
But there can also be too much. Is that what we're going to walk away with this?
Yeah, I think everybody has to me, it's like everybody can use that data for their own gain.
Yeah.
Whether it's powers you're controlled by, you can't let any of that data completely control you.
Yeah.
But you can use it to your benefit, and everybody has their opinion what's more beneficial to them.
We'll never forget PRE, perceived rate of exertion.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what my coaches always told me. You need to know between a scale of 1 to 10 what your 7.5 is. 7.5 was your time trial pace. And so, and my coach would write out diaries, training plans, 1 minute at 8, 1 minute at 9, or something like that. And and that was what I did. I just went out and I went at that level. And that was a great way to train, because at the time, let's say my 8 on one day, because my recovery was bad, was different from my 8 the other day, but I was still trying to go at that 8. So, but there's something to be said also for an 8 with a group ride, and that's going to change the whole dynamic too. So, all right, there we go. Hey, you guys, let's end with some fun. It is time. We are a few days away from 2022, and I hope you guys did your research, and because we've been teasing about our New Year's resolutions, and I know New Year's resolutions are basically bullshit. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get thin this year or something like that, and then they're eating a Twinkie while they're saying it. But and so I think we should think about. I asked you guys to think about this earlier in the day and come up with 3. Did I say 3 resolutions? Did I? Do you guys have 3, or do you guys have 1? As many as you want. Okay. For example, Jack came up with 6. So Jack can take up the distance for you guys.
Yeah, I guess.
So
okay.
Resolutions that you are going to do your darndest to achieve. Now, a global pandemic could come in again and wipe us all out, and we're stuck in our fucking houses, and Paul has nothing but Zwift, and I know Paul would just burn his bike in protest.
That's right.
Rather than do that. So we're going to go with, assuming everything goes according to plan, okay? So I'll read Jack's first, and then I'll do mine to give you guys an opportunity to think about yours into that time. So Jack Broadhead, who is here in spirit with us and who will be listening to this show a couple days later and live texting us comments throughout it that are completely out of context and we don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But Jack Broadhead is going to, number 1, drink far less beer to get back to race weight.
Good on him.
That's a good one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have laughed, but because I'm an asshole. But good for you, Jack. Number 2, he's going to start 10 races. Okay. Number 3, he's going to finish 8 of those 10 races. And he put in parentheses, being a realistic cyclist. So I think that's at my expense. Number 4, he's going to buy a current high-end road bike. Right on. Number 5, he's going to enter at least 1 cyclocross race. So this is 10 races. I don't know if the cyclocross is one of those. It sounds like it's extra.
Yeah.
So that's 6 races already. And number 6, he's going to do a crazy long race. And he says race. Oh, he must have meant Fondo because it said condo.
Condo. Almost made a comment.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to do a crazy long Fondo or type of thing like Belgian waffle ride. So everybody, you listening right now, Jack has told you what he's going to do, and if he doesn't do it, we can burn him alive on the show. So those are good. Those are good. I like that, and especially because he's returning back to the sport in a certain extent, and he's a busy fucking dude too. On top of that, so that's a good one. Mine are fairly similar. I have 3. I have in my every year I have 20 start lines. I always want to start at least 20 events, and those are pay entry fee events, not Thursday night TNTs. They are actual entry, put a number on race. So 20 start lines. My second one is very personal that I have not just, it's not personal anymore because I basically say it to thousands of people every week. I want to get under 190. 190 pounds or under. I got to 195 this year. I am not 195 now. I'll throw it out there. I am at 206 right now. I'm back up above 200. I've had a very nice winter, and it's been delicious. And So I want to get 190 or under, and on a personal note, I want to complete the and this is a challenge that Paul said he never does, but I want to complete the Packfiller Ambassador Challenge. I want to kind of put my money where my mouth is and do those 10 efforts throughout the year. So there we go. Anybody want to jump into this pool of tepid water?
Sure.
Tepid.
Yeah.
I think, as I mentioned before, I want to race my way up to a Cat 2.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty special, especially with the teammates. Yeah. I want to win something kind of big, whether it be like a couple-day race or whether it be like a one-day kind of one-off race locally. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Cross line first, pretty cool experience. Yeah.
I think I could probably do pretty well on like a Ronde van Pelouse type of thing. And then, I had another one. Well, there it goes. But I will think of one on the spot. I think
World peace.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I remember what it is. I really want to be able to figure out that mental state between, like, I want to be able to figure out the mental state that I couldn't with soccer, how everything's not so, like, pressurized. I want to take the pressure off myself, but I also really want to be able to, like, do well in the environment that I put myself in. So that's another one that I'm really
talk about that like the switch. To be able to put your competitive switch on, and then when the race is over, turn it back off.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think I can do that pretty well, but I think I put a lot of pressure on myself. Okay. I did it with when I raced cross country in grade school, for Christ's sake.
You did. Yeah.
And I want to be able to toe that line between the two.
Manage that.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are good. Those are very good. Paul, the bar's set high.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, for me, first one off is, since I averaged almost one ride a week, it'll be easy to top this one off. I want to do no less than 3, do 4 or 5 rides a week, and that's, I think, possible now. I kind of grasp on things.
I like that a lot. I might have to do that one.
Yeah,
I'm taking it.
So, and then I'd like to probably in April do at least one race a month, whether I have to travel or not.
April, May, June, July.
Yeah, and I looked at the calendar, and it's pretty sparse right now. I think people are still kind of, whether they just gave up on it because of COVID in the last couple of years, they don't have the funds, or whether they're waiting to see how things turn out. But it looks pretty sparse. But I'll try and shoot for all the way up to August. And then September, possibly do the Grand Fondo. Maybe that's what we could get Jack into.
Yeah, that's his long one.
Yeah. So those are the 2 so far. And the third one is, I think I'll really work hard on not bashing disc brakes through the year. No, I can't do that. No, that's not realistic.
That's not gonna happen. Come on, man.
That's not realistic.
That's like saying world peace.
Yeah,
exactly. Come on,
but
man.
mine is to get down to see where I perform at my race weight, which is about 160, 158, 160 pounds. So, but I think that I'll do all right.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
He's only been drinking 1 beer at the show. I don't know if people have been noticing it.
But I go home and I split a bottle of wine with my wife.
There we go. Well, gentlemen, and I promised this, and I don't know if you guys knew this was coming, but I didn't give you your Christmas gifts before the show, before Christmas. They all haven't come yet. Everybody gets too little. Don't go delusions of grandeur here, because they aren't really high end.
A set of tubulars.
When I was doing this shopping, it looked so much better when I was digital. Never mind. I'm not going to apologize before I even hand something out.
Yeah.
But Jack's gift is also here, but one of the 2 has arrived for all 3 of you. So I'm gonna hand you guys your little chintzy gifts. Now, keep in mind that it's the thought. Okay, I can explain
soap?
Behind them. No, it's not fruity soap.
All right.
And they're wrapped in Christmas napkins, because that's all I could find before the show started. So Jackson, Paul, and there's a story behind each of them. I don't know who wants to go first.
Go ahead,
but
Jackson.
Okay. So
where'd you get the wrapping? It's beautiful.
Save it. This
pretty awesome coasters. Oh, are these all the jerseys?
They are. You got to open them up, probably.
Okay,
if you want. But yeah, they are all. They're. You have your new apartment, So I was thinking classy-looking, cycling-themed coasters for your coffee table.
So we have the Maillot Jaune.
Maillot Jaune. That's the camera, yeah.
We have the King of the Mountains jersey. Don't know how to pronounce that in French.
Yeah.
We also have, the green jersey.
Yeah.
The one that'll go on the wall. Ooh, and the pink jersey, too.
And
I like that addition.
Your mom said, those look cute enough that his girlfriend will let him put those on a coffee table.
Those are cool. Thank you so much.
There's something else coming, but I can't wait for it to come because it's more personalized. There we go. Paul?
All right, I'm going to open it up like a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get into it.
You need to know my reasoning behind this. First of all, I thought it was going to be like twice the size.
Oh, no.
I did.
Paris-Roubaix, Les Fêtes de Noël. Oh, awesome. This I'm actually going to super glue on my stem.
Desktop Peloton,
that
I
is
guess,
cool.
is the guy. He makes these in England and in the UK. And
Awesome.
I saw that one, and it was all Paris-Roubaix. I was like, that is so cool. I thought it was going to be like a G.I. Joe size.
So I can pretend like a kid.
Gonna...
It's got some lift to it.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Feel the weight of
Does it
that.
have some weight to it?
It's not a piece of
Oh,
plastic.
shit.
It's,
no. Okay, that's all right. I feel a little better.
Yeah.
So your other ones are you're coming. Should I let Jack just see his, or should I show it to the camera? Right
yeah,
now?
show it to camera.
Yeah, show it to the camera.
Jack.
If he's not going to show up, this is how he gets treated.
Jack
Yeah,
is
seriously.
also, and if anybody wants to trade out, Jack is also in the coaster world. Jack gets retro 1980s team coasters. This is La Vie Claire.
Ooh.
This is 7-Eleven.
Is it?
Yeah. Cass. Renault. Peugeot. And Z. So those are Jack's coasters. I figured he'd be. But although if he's going to stop drinking.
Or he could
doesn't
put his
deserve them anymore.
athletic brewing.
Yeah.
there, see.
Whoa.
Thank
Paul
you.
with the plug. There we go. So those are for Jack. and like I said, the one I really kind of tried to individually personalize as much as possible didn't arrive. You guys, thanks for a good year.
Yeah, thank
you. Yeah,
for
thank you.
with us with the podcast this year. And I appreciate all that. And everybody out there, thank you guys for a great 2021. I usually don't like to talk about this, but we have because of you and because of you telling friends about the show, our listenership has grown immensely. We have been constantly ranked in the top 50 on iTunes for cycling podcasts, and that doesn't sound like a great thing, but that is actually gigantic considering there are hundreds of thousands of cycling podcasts out there, and we appreciate you guys doing that. Keep telling friends, keep showing up, keep convincing people to join our little cult here. And keep the rubber side down and have a great and safe New Year. Hug those around you. I guess, is that too cliche and cheesy to say?
Nah,
Fuck
not
it,
at
I
all.
said it.
Yeah.
But I ended with a swear word, so there we go. All right.
Okay.